नमस्कार, गुड इवनिंग, जय हिंद। लास्ट क्लास जो हम लोगों की थी उसके आगे हम लोग आएंगे। पहले कुछ बातें जो हमने लास्ट क्लास में की थी उन पे हम एक बार रिवीजन कर लेंगे और क्या टॉपिक चल रहा है उसको, चूँकि बीच में 2-3 क्लास मिस हो गई है तो इस वजह से हम पहले जो पढ़ाया है उसका रिवीजन करेंगे एंड देन वी विल कम एट द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर, दैट इज फीचर्स ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। इसका जो मेन पार्ट है यानी फीचर ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का, चूंकि मेंस के लिए भी ये बड़ा ही यूजफुल है और प्रीलिम्स के लिए भी है, तो इसे हम दोनों डायमेंशन से देखेंगे। जो इसको पढ़ने का तरीका होगा वो हम लोग कॉन्सेप्चुअल भी और फैक्चुअल भी, यानी कि फीचर करते समय उसके जो एलिमेंट प्रीलिम्स के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं उनकी भी बात हम लोग करेंगे। ठीक है, चलिए टॉपिक स्टार्ट करते हैं। ऑलरेडी डिले है इसमें। जो I will give just an introduction. Features of Indian Constitution. Actually, Indian Constitution is the law. It is the fundamental law of the country. In last class, I have described different dimensions of the Constitution, because Constitution is not only a law, it is a document जो कैसा है, legal. It is supreme law of the nation. It is a political document. It means we can see the different dimensions of the constitution, and whenever we try to describe constitution, then we have to cover all the areas. Means in 22 parts of the constitution, each part covers a particular subject, and in this respect we can give multiple definitions of the constitution. For example, we can say that this is a democratic law which guarantees the fundamental right to the citizens and specify the duties. If we go for the federal aspect, we can say that constitution is the supreme law of the country which provides and prescribes the composition, constitution of the government as well as its institution, and provides the basic political framework within which the government has to work. When we go at the citizens aspect, then we can say that it is a political document which provides the political membership to the people and also specify their duties and rights. When we go for the institutional dimension, we can say it is the fundamental law of the nation which provides for the establishment of different constitutional institutions to govern the nation. It means we can use the constitutional definition to specify a particular subject, and particular subject can be taken into consideration while describing the constitution. So there may be multiple definition of the constitution, but in short, a single definition which can be given in general term, that constitution is the supreme and fundamental law of the nation to govern the country as well as its people. ओके, यहाँ पर हम स्पेशल फीचर्स में जब आते हैं तो पहले हम देखते हैं कि क्या क्या टॉपिक हम कवर करेंगे। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के फीचर्स में सबसे पहला जो फीचर क्वेश्चंस के फॉर्म में एग्जाम में आया है, दैट इज इट इज द लेंथीएस्ट रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। ठीक है, दिस इज लेंथीएस्ट रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। कई सारे प्री के क्वेश्चन भी इसमें है, मेंस के भी क्वेश्चन इसमें, अभी देखेंगे कैसे। सेकंड, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कैन बी डिस्क्राइब्ड एज a borrowed constitution by critics, but when we talk about the nature of our constitution, then we also try to describe it that it is the combination of different provisions taken from different constitution of the world. Okay, in second language we can say like this, but critics says that it is a borrowed constitution. Borrowed constitution, it is different thing कि we will favor it or we will oppose it. but borrowed constitution is a particular criticism of our constitution. Thirdly, Indian constitution, when we say borrowed constitution, it means we have taken the provisions from different countries, or whenever we see in terms of prelims exam, then it means that our constitution is prepared after taking many provisions from different constitution of the world. Federal scheme from this nation, fundamental right from this nation. तो sources of Indian constitution एक टॉपिक बनता है यहाँ पर कि from where we have taken what provision of the constitution, इसलिए यहाँ पर prelims और mains दोनों के क्वेश्चन आते हैं. Third important part, it is the blend of flexible and rigid constitution. Indian constitution is the blend of flexible plus rigid constitution. It means according to the situation. Our constitution has been given a kind of nature, या हम ये कह सकते हैं कि सिचुएशन के अकॉर्डिंग अपने आप को एडजस्ट करने की एबिलिटी हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में है. इन emergency situation it is rigid, unitary, but in normal situation it is flexible. Similarly, we can say that our constitution was the result of a particular situation at the time when our country was facing different challenges like communalism, because after the partition of country, a communal rights were at the peak. Similarly, linguistic revolts, people were demanding separation of state, formation of the state on the basis of language. Even regionalism was taking shape at that time, and our boundaries were not secure. Even within the country, we were not having any kind of unified structure. At that time, we were diverse in our culture, we were diverse in our language, we were diverse in our religions, even we were diverse in our geographical conditions. That's why it was not possible to have a common feature for everything. So we were bound to make such kind of constitution at that time, because situation remains changing. That's why we have given certain provision in the constitution so that it can adjust itself according to the changing situation in future. That's why it is flexible as well as rigid. Similarly, our constitution is a blend of federal and unitary constitutions. We are neither federal nor unitary in original term. We are combination. We have federal features because our political structure is such kind, because we have different states with different regional, geographical, religious, cultural and linguistic identities, and having such kind of diverse identity, it was not possible to make a kind of integrity or unitary character, because if anyone will be, yani any state will consider itself exploited, then it will be against the security of the country, because regionalism will be promoted. So to curtail the tendencies of regionalism, we had adopted a federal character, federal feature and federal polity, but at the same time we were not a country like others. We were facing multiple challenges at the time of our constitution, with the time of our making of our constitution. Even we were not a country having a single type of entity at the time. Political, social and economic diversities and challenges were a big threat for us, and at that time we were prone towards, we were pressurized by the conditions to make such kind of constitution where the federal and unitary both characters were the requirement of the situation. That's why the federal and unitary both provisions, both characteristics are in our constitution. What are federal, what are unitary, we can see in our topic. Federal plus unitary constitution. In prelims, you will find the question that which provision of the constitution is federal, which provision of the constitution is unitary, and in certain time they try to mix them and you have to identify which is federal and which is unitary. Okay. Similarly, our constitution is considered as a constitution which has provided parliamentary form of government at the central level as well as the state level. Our constitution was a political document, and our political documents were prepared originally by the Britishers, and we had just made our consideration visible in that document, because we were based on, yeah, our constitution was based on the Government of India Act 1935. So the fundamental and foundations was the 1935 Government of India Act. So it was not possible to have a different kind of political setup when we were trained in a particular set of political regime. We were trained in parliamentary form of government from 1853, and now if we will try, yeah, at that time the people who were the constitution makers, they were actually working in that system. They were not new, they were working in that system from 1919, because accountable government system was introduced in 1919, although in limited term, but we were completely aware about the system. That's why our constitution had adopted parliamentary form of government, not at the state level, not at the central level, but at both levels. Okay, then what is the parliamentary form of government? The big question is this. We will talk about this here. Parliamentary form of government. Indian Constitution provides a parliamentary form of government. Indian Constitution provides for three-tier government system in country. Three-tier government system. Three-tier government system. Indian Constitution provides for single citizenship. एकल नागरिकता की बात करता है. Single citizenship. Indian Constitution is based on a particular doctrine, and that doctrine is justice, equality, liberty for all. Yani our constitution has certain values, our constitution has a particular philosophy, our constitution is sensitive towards the vulnerable. It means our constitution is a living document. Indian Constitution is a living document. Indian Constitution provides for integrated judicial system. Indian Constitution कंट्री में इंटीग्रेटेड जुडिशियल सिस्टम को अप्लाई करता है. इंटीग्रेटेड जुडिशियल सिस्टम, और सेम टाइम it provides for a centralized system during the extraordinary situation by providing emergency provisions. अपना कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन स्पेशल बन जाता है जब ये इमरजेंसी प्रोविजंस को एड ऑन करता है. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज सेंसिटिव टुवर्ड्स एवरी सेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी. It is providing the opportunities to all, equal justice, equal respect, equal opportunities in the matter of employment or in the matter of status. It means Indian Constitution is a democratic document because it is based on the sovereign rights. लोगों के जो नागरिक हैं उनके उन्हीं से ये पावर को प्राप्त करता है इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज बेस्ड ऑन द फिलॉसफी ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी, एंड डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज आर वेस्टेड not only in its objective but in its nature and in its working. How in its nature? Indian Constitution can be amended by the people of the country through the parliament. Indian Constitution provides for adult suffrage. India adult suffrage means 18 years and above has the right to vote. Indian Constitution provides for free and fair elections by providing the composition and constitution of Election Commission of India. It also provides the fundamental rights to the citizens, and through guaranteeing fundamental right to the citizens, it has imposed the restrictions over the rights and power of the state, because it prohibits the state to do anything which can violate the fundamental rights of the citizen. It means establish the rule of law. Indian Constitution provides for independent judicial system in the country. An independent judiciary is the limitation over the excessive use of power. Any work done by the government, if not consistent with the constitutional provisions, then the judiciary has the power to declare them null and void. In other words, we can say that independent judiciary is corollary of the democratic system. If a strengthening of democracy is our objective, then we have to strengthen the judiciary first, because without having an independent judiciary, we cannot protect the rights of the people, we cannot restrict the government from trespassing their authorities and jurisdictions. So we have to maintain such kind of political document which can ensure it. So constitution is a political document, but by providing independent judiciary, it becomes democratic. Okay? It provides for independent judicial system. When I'm saying integrated, then this is another thing. When I'm saying independent, then it is another thing. Okay? So in nutshell, we can say that after studying all these features, we will be able to define the actual nature and scope of our constitution. After studying all these things, you can describe the constitution in any term, because these features are the corollary feature of Indian constitution. Has originated in a particular situation. Indian constitution is not originated only, not prepared within 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. That was just a time when we had edited our prior documents. We had included certain new things, but the base was Government of India Act 1935. Even we had our own document in 1928, and in Motilal Nehru Committee report we had included our constitutional values. Unfortunately, Nehru Committee report was not a success, but the beginning of our own document was that. After that, we had prepared multiple documents, but after all, finally, on 26 November 1949, we had enacted our political document, that is the Constitution. But it was not just a thing that we had prepared it during this duration. A long journey we have prepared. We had completed a journey which was started after 1858. Because in 1858, क्या हुआ था? British government has taken the command over Indian administration. Before that, it was governed by East India Company. But British government has taken direct control, and the authorities were vested in the crown at that time. So after 1858, whatever laws were enacted, they are the basis of, they are the foundation of our current constitution. We will discuss it in a later chapter, but पहले हम इन फीचर्स पर एक एक करके डिस्कशन करेंगे. Number 1, it is the lengthiest written constitution of the world. Indian constitution is the lengthiest written constitution. पहला फीचर लेंगे, lengthiest written constitution. How and why? How it is lengthiest and why it is lengthiest? How? means no other constitution, no other written constitution of the world has so many parts and articles as this constitution has. Okay, in our constitution there are 22 parts. If we will consider the amendment, then it is 25. 395 articles. If we come in terms of number, then it is more than 450, and schedule are 12. In previous chapter, I have explained that what is the meaning of part, what is the meaning of article, and what is schedules. Okay? Then constitutionally, we have 22 parts, 395 articles, and 12 schedules. However, in numbers, it has been changed because we have made 105 amendments in our constitution. So after this, we can analyze that no other constitution of the world has such thing. In first written constitution, means in democratic society, first written constitution was America, and originally it had only 7 articles. Only 7 articles. And even Australia, China, and Canada, no constitution of the world has more than 250 articles. It means if we can include all the major written constitution of the world, it will be surprising that we have more than that. So it is the lengthiest constitution, and but it is written. What is meaning of written and non-written? You can see here. Constitution, written and unwritten. What is the difference between both? Written and unwritten? Yes. Written means a document which has been codified within a time limit by a special institution and to achieve certain defined goals. Means if goals are defined, time frame is defined, and a special institution has been constituted to draft it, then it is a written. Yani for being written, it is important that it must be codified within a specific time frame. Second, should be prepared by a specific institution, and defined goals. यानी पर्पस कैसा होगा? Defined. If all three conditions are fulfilled, then it is a written constitution. Indian constitution is written. Why? Prepared by Constituent Assembly of the country. Second, was prepared to achieve the goals defined in objective resolution presented by Jawaharlal Nehru. And third, it was completed within 2 years, 11 months, 18 days. A draft was, yani ki the Constituent Assembly was drafting, which was drafting the constitution, took 2 years, 11 months, 18 days to complete this codification. So Indian constitution written. But what is unwritten? Unwritten का मतलब ये नहीं होता कि लिखा हुआ नहीं है. Unwritten means evolved with the time. The constitution historically evolved with the time, and which has been given the whole conditions of the country. Yani after recognizing all set of rules, all laws, all kind of ordinances, all kind of orders which are important in running the governance of the country and considered as the law to run the affairs of the state. are considered as constitution. In our country, they are the law, because the laws या rules which are conducting या controlling the conduct of the individual, they are not the part of constitution, they are ordinary law. But in Britain, like country like Britain, the ordinary laws are the part of the constitution. Whatever laws have been declared by the parliament, whatever ordinances were enacted by the queen, whatever the orders and instructions issued by the House of Lords, and any judicial authority which had declared a particular instructions as a law shall constitute the constitution of the country. It means that is very flexible. One law is constitution, and second law will come, that will be constitution. It means very easy to amend. But whenever there is any written constitution, then it is not easy to amend, because the codification has been done to achieve certain goals. So against the goal you cannot change anything. So it is very difficult to amend. But here there is no goal. Whatever law has been prescribed, although it is very adjustable to the situation, according to the situation, unwritten constitution very perfect, very flexible. But it has nothing to specify. Every act, every law is the constitution. But in our country we can say that it is constitution, it is legal. Yani constitution can be specified. So written constitution is this, unwritten is. Then we are lengthiest in written constitution. Yani which constitutions are written, we are lengthiest in that. Otherwise British constitution is so, because every law is the part of the constitution. But we are lengthiest in written. Keep in your mind. Okay. Now, how we are lengthiest? I said that we have such number of parts, articles and schedules that are unique and extraordinary, because no other constitution, written constitution of the world has so many. But why we are lengthiest? Why our constitution is so bulky? Then there are 4 important reasons for that. Number 1, in any federal country there are dual constitution, one for the state, one for the center, and in certain conditions a third document is there, but that is the original. But in our constitution we don't have 2 separate set of constitution for the center as well as the state, but in single constitution we had incorporated all the provisions related to the governance of the center as well as governance of the state. That's why it became lengthy, because the American constitution, which is separated in state and center, they had such kind of provisions which are regional in nature in state constitution, and those provisions and subjects which are having nationwide importance, they have been kept in union constitution. But in our country this is no differentiation, and that's why our constitution is elephantine in size, because having the provisions related to state, provision related to union, and not finished yet, because we have third unit also, union territories, then provision for the union territories, and not yet concluded, we have scheduled area, tribal area, scheduled tribe administration, yani 4 set of administrative units, one union, state, union territory, and the areas which are specified in 5th schedule and 6th schedule, they are also autonomous. That's why including the provisions about all these separate identities, it was natural to describe everything and become lengthiest constitution of the world. तो यहाँ पर single constitution for center, स्टेट प्लस यूनियन टेरिटरी, सभी के लिए एक ही संविधान, चाहे यूनियन टेरिटरी हो, चाहे वो स्टेट हो, चाहे सेंटर हो. द प्रोविजंस रिलेटेड टू ऑल दीज एंटिटीज आर इंक्लूडेड इन वन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इटसेल्फ. पहला रीजन तो ये हो गया. सेकेंड रीजन व्हाई इट इज लेंथीएस्ट, बिकॉज द geographical expansion, diversity in cultural, linguistic and religious aspect, even the historical background of our country has made it compulsory to adjust it. Why historical background? We were a colony of British Empire, and during the evolution of legal system, they had created certain institutions, and our whole government system was developed by the British government. When power was transferred to newly independent Indian regime, then we were not having any choice but to accept the old government system to run our new constitution. And that's why it was very necessary to make them compatible to our situation and to establishing or to maintaining compatibility of our conditions with the government system having by then Indian government. It was very necessary to make certain changes. We adopted whole government system, constitutional system developed by Britishers, but our goals, objective were different. They were established their system for exploiting Indians, but now that system was being used to make a social economic change, welfare of the nation, even to establish a socialist pattern of the society based on equality, justice, liberty. How it will be possible when an institution which was developed during the British era was having the objective to exploit the people? So it was necessary to make certain changes. That's why we adopted their laws, because they were getting constitutionality and legitimacy from that law. We included that law and provision, after that introducing and inserting certain exceptions to make them reasonable, to make them relevant to our conditions, due to which our constitution become lengthy. So here second feature, geographical, historical and physical conditions. इंडिया की geographical, historical and physical conditions were responsible for including, for example, India is considered as subcontinent. Why? Because we have such kind of geographical terrain where a particular state of the country feels like -50-degree temperature. At the same time, another state is experiencing 45-degree plus temperature. One state is suffering from high cold, high winds at the time when a lower terrain is suffering with hot waves. Even a demographic features, even demographic differentiation and demographic characters, because some ethnic group, India is subcontinent means all ethnic groups which are spread throughout the world can be found in India, and having different economic and social conditions. Different, yani society do not, our society is not equal society. It is not based on equality, because due to caste system a lot of problems were already prevailed in our society. So if we are trying to provide them equality and justice, then we have to make certain provision for reservation and etc. Why we had made provision for the reservation? Because due to the unequal society, equality was not there. Even our social and economic conditions in different states are different, because the people from tribal group having other kind of language, other kind of culture, other different kind of custom. Similarly, people living in second part having different kind of conditions. The people living in tribal area suffering from different kind of problem. People living in scheduled area having different kind of problem. So, to govern all, it was not possible to make a single provision. We were bound to make different provision for different ethnic groups. We were bound to make or introduce different characteristics for different reasons and given them the special status. Article 371. Article 371 A, B, C, D, E, F क्या है सब? Special status. Due to the lack of equal development in the society, we were bound to introduce such kind of provisions in our constitution so that a socialist pattern of society can be established. And due to all these reasons, our constitution became lengthiest written constitution of the world. Similarly, our constituent assembly was dominated by advocates, legal practitioners. And legal practitioners, and at the time, because illiteracy was high, and we were having a system which was not original, and it was possible at that time, it was possible that the system can go against our objective. Means they were bureaucrats, they were having immunities, they were having powers, and we were illiterate. That's why our constitution makers tried to specify each and everything so that the authorities cannot violate the constitution. But they were advocate, that's why they used many technical words. And after that, to define those technical words, they have introduced many other provisions. They introduced exceptions because they were opting for the old system, and to make them compatible with the new need of the society, they introduced different exceptions and provisions, etc., to make them relevant. That's why constitution become mixture, khichdi, because some provisions were this, and after that some provisions were exception. In one article we are saying something other thing, and in other article we are saying something new. And now the court was given the power, because कहा जाता है भारत का संविधान वकीलों का स्वर्ग है. Why? Because still there is a scope to explain the provisions. They tried at their level best to explain everything, but because the technical words have different meanings according to the situation, so that's why new explanation, new provisions were according to the need of the society was add on, and it became lengthiest constitution of the world. Okay? So domination of legal practitioners in our constituent assembly. Domination of legal practitioners in constituent assembly. These were the reasons why our constitution became elephantine in size. But how they are, we can see here. So Indian constitution is the lengthiest constitution because it is a living document. Also, the fourth reason, it is a living document. It has the ability to change itself according to the changing situation. So, with 105 Constitution Amendment Act, almost more than 100 new provisions were added in our constitution. Although certain was repealed, but many have been added. So, being a living document, they are always prone to expand. लिविंग डॉक्यूमेंट है, इसलिए इनको सिचुएशन की आवश्यकता के अनुसार, परिस्थितियों की आवश्यकता के अनुसार हम बढ़ाते जा सकते हैं. एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू the requirement of the country, according to the need of the country, according to the changing need of the country, many new provisions were added in the constitution and many provisions have been repealed from the constitution, which reveals that it is not static, it is a living document. So Indian constitution is lengthiest because these characters are there, these were the reasons. And why? When you are going to write the answer, then you have to categorize both the thing separately. ये कारण है और इसलिए इसको माना जाता है. अमेरिका का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, चाइना का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, ऑस्ट्रेलिया का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, कनाडा के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, किसी में भी 250 से ज्यादा आर्टिकल्स नहीं. और भारत का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऐसा है जिसमें अकेले इतने सारे हैं. और उसका रीजन ये है, इसीलिए भारत को सब कॉन्टिनेंट में कहते हैं. इसके ज्योग्राफिकल, हिस्टोरिकल, फिजिकल, इन सब इतना डाइवर्सिफिकेशन है. विश्व के हर एक क्लाइमेटिक जोन इंडिया में, विश्व का हर एक एथनिक ग्रुप इंडिया में, विश्व का हर एक रिलीजन इंडिया में, विश्व का हर एक डेमोग्राफिक कैरेक्टर इंडिया में, यहां तक कि फिजिकल फॉर्म्स भी इंडिया में. हाईएस्ट K2 अगर विश्व का सेकंड हाईएस्ट पीक देखें तो भी यहीं पर है. और अगर हम यहाँ का डिप्रेस देखेंगे तो भी हमारा डेक्कन और उसके प्लेटू के नीचे पाया जाएगा. यानी कि सारे तरीके के हैं, खाइयां भी हैं, खाड़ियां भी हैं, और हमारे पास समुद्र से घिरा हुआ क्षेत्र भी है, लैंडलॉक एरिया भी, इसलिए इसे सब कॉन्टिनेंट कहते हैं. क्लियर? तो अब इस प्रकार से पहला जो है इस पे क्वेश्चन लिखिए, फिर दूसरे पे आते हैं. पहला क्वेश्चन जो आपको लिखना है, इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज अ यूनिक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज एन यूनिक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. यूनिक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन which is lengthiest in the world, which is lengthiest in the world. हिंदी में तो कोई नहीं है, इसमें हिंदी में तो कोई नहीं है. ठीक, नहीं, क्वेश्चन हिंदी में बोलना है कि नहीं बोलना है? ओके, ठीक. सेकंड फीचर पे आते हैं. सेकंड है इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज अ ब्लेंड ऑफ फ्लेक्सिबल एंड रिजिड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. ठीक है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फ्लेक्सिबल क्या होता है और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन रिजिड क्या होता है? A flexible constitution is a type of constitution which can be amended easily, यानी easy amendment. Means no special procedure is required to amend the constitution. Means can be amended by simple procedure like ordinary law. ठीक, like ordinary law. But rigid constitution is a type of constitution difficult to amend. Difficult to amend and need special procedure. Need special procedure. Special procedure means it is special majority and special process to amend. It needs special majority and special process to amend. ठीक है. Now these two kind of constitution in the world, this belong to USA constitution, a federal constitution, and I had said earlier that a written constitution is always rigid, because when anything has been written by a special organization, a special institution, then normal institution cannot amend it. Special permission, special recognition, special process will be required, because written constitution has three features: one, codified by specific institution, codified to achieve certain specified goals, and codified within a certain time limit. So it will be very difficult to amend, because there will be a need of special process to amend them. And it is American Constitution where the amendment is not possible. Amendment process can be initiated either by the state or by the union, but the consideration, approval of both will be required. Means no any single state or union can amend it. Okay. And similarly here, flexible constitution belongs to UK, Britain. Here every law is the constitution, every order is the constitution. An order can be overlapped by second order, a law can be overlapped by second law. It means very easy. In parliament you can go and you can introduce a simple bill to amend the constitution, and constitution will be amended. But we are not so simple, not so rigid. ना तो हम इतने फ्लेक्सिबल हैं, ना तो हम उतने रिजिड। क्यों? क्योंकि इन आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, इन आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, इंडिया का देखें, इन आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आर्टिकल 368 प्रोवाइड्स for special procedure to amend the constitution। तो पहला फीचर कंप्लीट हुआ, क्योंकि स्पेशल प्रोसीजर चाहिए अमेंड करने के लिए। तो ये क्या दर्शा रहा है कि ये रिजिड है, दिखा नहीं, क्योंकि स्पेशल प्रोसीजर चाहिए रिजिड होने के लिए। सेकंड पॉइंट, बट सम प्रोविजंस requires the approval from the state. Some provisions can be amended by the parliament by the approval या after the approval ऑफ द स्टेट्स। ये भी क्या दिखा रहा है, फेडरल है ये, क्योंकि कुछ प्रोविजंस ऐसे हैं जो कि राज्य के अप्रूवल से पार्लियामेंट बदलेंगे। ये तो भाई फेडरल में तो ही था ना, राज्यों का भी समर्थन चाहिए, लेकिन इनकी संख्या खाली 10 से 15% है, ये 10 ही % है। ऐसे प्रोविजन जिन्हें फेडरल प्रोविजन कहते हैं, ये 10 से 15%। लेकिन लगभग 80% प्रोविजन ऐसे हैं, 70 to 80% प्रोविजंस ऐसे हैं which can be amended by parliament alone। यानी नो नीड फॉर द स्टेट, राज्यों की जरूरत नहीं है, बट बाय स्पेशल मेजॉरिटी। लेकिन स्पेशल मेजॉरिटी चाहिए, यानी उसकी तरह इतना आसान नहीं है। ठीक है, राज्य की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी सिंपल मेजॉरिटी से नहीं होगा, स्पेशल मेजॉरिटी से ही होगा। लेकिन 10% प्रोविजंस ऐसे हैं, लेकिन 10% प्रोविजंस ऐसे हैं जिनके लिए ना तो स्पेशल प्रोसीजर चाहिए और ना ही राज्यों का समर्थन। ठीक है, 10% प्रोविजंस डू नॉट नीड do not need any special procedure to be amended. अमेंड करने के लिए स्पेशल प्रोसीजर नहीं, जैसे किसी राज्य का नाम बदलना है, मींस आर्टिकल 3 सेज दैट द पार्लियामेंट हैज द पावर टू चेंज द नेम, alter the boundaries and change the nature of the state and can create new states after dividing any particular state into two or by joining the territories of two states into one. Article 2 says that Parliament can introduce new state from outside also. But Article 4 protects and says that Parliament can do it with a simple majority and there no need to take any help from Article 368. Means anything done under Article 2, Article 3 shall not be considered as the amendment in the Constitution. It means no special majority is required because Article 4 saying that these kind of amendment will not be considered as amendment in the Constitution. It means only simple process is required and Parliament can make a law with simple majority in the House to amend any alter the boundaries of the state, change the name of the state, formation of new state, abolition of the states. The Parliament can do it. ओके तो ऐसी चीजों के लिए कोई अमेंडमेंट जरूरत नहीं. सिमिलरली फॉर द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द अपर हाउस इन द स्टेट्स, राज्यों में जो लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल बनता है, पार्लियामेंट नए लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल बना सकता है. नो नीड फॉर एनी अमेंडमेंट. ओनली वन कंडीशन इज रिक्वायर्ड दैट इफ द लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली ऑफ द स्टेट विल पास अ रेजोल्यूशन दैट वी नीड एन अपर हाउस विद देयर स्पेशल मेजॉरिटी, then Parliament can do it with a simple majority and no need for making any kind of amendment in the Constitution. It means there are certain features, certain provisions which can be amended, but this is low, only 10-15%. So if questions come in your prelims कि Indian Constitution is majorly rigid, majorly flexible, क्योंकि पूरा rigid पूरा flexible तो नहीं है, लेकिन अगर पूछा जाए ज्यादा क्या है, रिजिड या ज्यादा फ्लेक्सिबल, तो हम कहेंगे ज्यादा रिजिड, मोर रिजिड, क्योंकि एकदम फ्लेक्सिबल तो खाली इतना है 10%, ये उतना रिजिड नहीं है लेकिन फ्लेक्सिबल भी तो नहीं है. इट इज रिक्वायरिंग स्पेशल प्रोसीजर एंड इक्वल स्पेशल प्रोसीजर जिसको चाहिए होगा दैट इज द फेडरल, दैट इज द रिजिड. तो आप क्या कहोगे कि ये मोर रिजिड लेस फ्लेक्सिबल. ठीक है, कहीं कहीं गाइड में मोर फ्लेक्सिबल और लेस रिजिड कर दिया, ये गलत. मैंने इसलिए एक्सप्लेन करके बताया कि इसमें मैनी प्रोविजंस ऐसे हैं जो कि दोनों का रिक्वायरमेंट है. बहुत सारे प्रोविजंस ऐसे हैं जहां पर कि भले ही राज्य का रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है लेकिन 368 के प्रोविजन से बदला जाएगा और स्पेशल मेजॉरिटी रिक्वायर्ड होगी. और बहुत सारे प्रोविजन ऐसे, एक पॉइंट और नीचे नोट करिए अपनी बात के सपोर्ट में, कि एक आफ्टर केशवानंद भारती केस द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कैन नॉट बी अमेंडेड इटसेल्फ. ये तो अमेंडमेंट है लेकिन बहुत सारे प्रोविजन, 60% प्रोविजन ऐसे हैं जिनमें कोई अमेंडमेंट ही नहीं हो सकता. तो ये क्या दिखाता है, हाईली रिजिड. ठीक है, कि अगर कोई आपसे आकर आर्गुमेंट करे नहीं नहीं आई हैव सीन इट दैट इट इज मोर फ्लेक्सिबल, तो ये कोड उठा के मुंह पे मार दो उसके, क्योंकि आप 1973 के बाद 24 अप्रैल 1973 नाउ आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बिकम मोर रिजिड. बाकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन तो कैन बी अमेंडेड आफ्टर द अप्रूवल ऑफ बोथ. अब जो बोथ नहीं, उनके दोनों बच्चे भी आ जाए तो भी कुछ नहीं कर सकते. क्यों? क्योंकि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली अब उसमें अमेंडमेंट पॉसिबल नहीं. एनीथिंग विच हैज बीन डिक्लेयर्ड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट कैन नॉट बी अमेंडेड बाय द पार्लियामेंट इन एनी सर्कमस्टांसेस. ठीक है, तो ऐसी स्थिति में यहां पर डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर क्या हो गया, नाउ मोर रिजिड. लेकिन ना तो कंप्लीटली रिजिड है ना ही कंप्लीटली फ्लेक्सिबल, देन इट इज द ब्लेंड ऑफ फ्लेक्सिबल एंड रिजिड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. कहना गलत नहीं होगा. यानी इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज द ब्लेंड ऑफ फ्लेक्सिबल एज वेल एज रिजिड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. क्वेश्चन लिखिए इसके ऊपर. discuss the important provisions of the Constitution which specify that Indian Constitution is more rigid than flexible. Is more rigid than flexible. Third point पे आइए. Indian Constitution provides for parliamentary form of government system. Indian Constitution parliamentary form of government system बताता है. तो आपकी जानकारी के लिए बता दें कि we have especially two different kind of political system in the country, in different countries. One, presidential form of government. Second, parliamentary form of government. And this characterization या this classification is based on a concept of separation of power. Separation of power. But separation of power is strictly related with the presidential form of government. It means it does not apply on the parliamentary system of government. Strictly related with the presidential system of government. अभी explain करता हूं. And parliamentary form of government is based on doctrine of cooperation and coordination between legislature and executive organ of government, while in presidential form of government, separation of power between legislative and executive organ of government. कैसा सेपरेशन? स्ट्रिक्ट सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर. अब समझिए दोनों क्या होता है. ये यहां पर गवर्नमेंट के तीन ऑर्गन होते हैं, आप जानते हो. एक लेजिस्लेचर होता है, दूसरा एग्जीक्यूटिव होता है और एक जुडिशरी होता है. तीन ऑर्गन होते हैं. जो लेजिस्लेचर है इट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इनएक्टिंग लॉज, लॉ मेकिंग के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट. इसका काम है इंप्लीमेंटेशन और एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ दैट लॉ, और इसका काम है एनफोर्समेंट ऑफ दैट लॉ. ठीक है. यहां पर सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर वैसे तो तीनों ऑर्गन, लेकिन जो हम फॉर्म ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, तो फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट जुडिशरी शामिल नहीं होती, बिकॉज़ जुडिशरी इज इंडिपेंडेंट. इन एनी डेमोक्रेसी जुडिशरी इज इंडिपेंडेंट. तो यहां पर अगर लॉ मेकिंग का काम ये करें और इंप्लीमेंटेशन या एग्जीक्यूशन मेंटेशन या रेगुलेशन का काम ये करें, इसके मेंबर यहां ना जा पाए और इसके मेंबर यहां ना जा पाए, ये इसके साथ कोई डायरेक्ट कनेक्शन में नहीं, ये इसके साथ कोई डायरेक्ट कनेक्शन में नहीं. सेपरेशन ये खाली लॉ बनाएंगे, ये खाली उसको लागू करेंगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम होगा तो ये देखेंगे. इन्हें देखने की आवश्यकता नहीं, इनका काम खाली लॉ बनाना है. लॉ लागू हुआ कि नहीं इस पे पूछने की जरूरत नहीं. इनसे पूछने का अधिकार किसके पास होगा. इसीलिए ऐसी कंट्रीज में जहां प्रेसिडेंशियल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट जुडिशरी इज वेरी स्ट्रांग. अमेरिका में जुडिशरी बहुत स्ट्रांग है. क्यों है? क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट डे टू डे नहीं पूछता है, ले तेरे की दे तेरे की नहीं करता है. यानी कि हियर द पीपल ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव आर नॉट सपोज टू गिव आंसर इन लेजिस्लेचर। ठीक है, तो वहां पर क्वेश्चन कौन करेगा? जुडिशरी करेगा। तो यहां पर सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर है इस फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, यानी कि यहां का जो हेड होगा प्रेसिडेंट, यही रियल हेड होगा जो पूरा शासन चलाएगा। ठीक है, एंड ही विल नॉट बी आंसरेबल टू दिस, ये इसके प्रति आंसरेबल नहीं, यानी कि यही व्यक्ति, सेम पर्सन विल बी द हेड ऑफ द स्टेट और सेम पर्सन विल बी हेड ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, यानी सिंगल एग्जीक्यूटिव सिस्टम होगा। ठीक है, लेकिन अगर यही सिस्टम हम इसमें देखें, इधर हम गवर्नमेंट का दूसरा रूप देख लें, लेजिस्लेचर, एग्जीक्यूटिव और जुडिशरी। ये कैसा था? ये प्रेसिडेंशियल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट है। और ये कैसा है? कैसे पता? क्योंकि यहां पर जो पीपल हैं, इन्होंने लॉ मेकर को चुना। लॉ मेकर, इन लॉ मेकर्स ने, जिनको पीपल ने चुना है, ये अपना एक लीडर चुनेंगे। ये जो लीडर है, नाउ ही विल फॉर्म द गवर्नमेंट, अकाउंटेबल गवर्नमेंट। People will elect their representatives. Representative will elect their own leader, and the leader will be considered as the leader of the house. And this leader of the house will be considered a leader of majority. And the leader of majority will be given the opportunity to form the government. He will be called to form the government by the constitutional head of the executive. Constitutional head of the executive means president. He will call the person securing the majority in the house, who is the representative of the people, to form the government. And he will come, and he or she will come and become PM. And now he will be given the opportunity to select certain members from the legislature and recommend their name to the president for forming the council of ministers. Now there will be a council of ministers under Article 74, and the ministers here will come from here. And because these ministers are primarily the member of legislature, and now they has become the member of the executive, it means dual membership of the ministers. Dual executive, one constitutional and second रियल, इसी को रिस्पॉन्सिबल गवर्नमेंट कहते हैं, इसी को अकाउंटेबल गवर्नमेंट कहते हैं। इट इज अकाउंटेबल टू द पीपल थ्रू देयर रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, इसीलिए इसे रिप्रेजेंटेटिव डेमोक्रेसी भी कहते हैं। बिकॉज हियर द ऑफिशियल्स आर नॉट डायरेक्टली अकाउंटेबल टू द पीपल, they are accountable to the people through their representatives, and that's why collective responsibility of this council of ministers is toward the legislature, Lok Sabha. And it means this form of the government, what you see, the people here are the member of executive, and the members of the executive are primarily the member of the legislature. It means they will sit here, and when they are sitting here and they are having majority, it means law cannot be enacted without the consent of executive, because they have majority here na. If they have majority, then no law can be enacted without the consent of executive or prime minister. Similarly, when they are sitting here, then the members will ask the question that you have power, what you did, और फिर उनकी ऐसी की तैसी ऐसा बोलेंगे वो, because they have right to ask question on the behalf of people. That's why they have been given the privileges. कि आप जो भी करना हो ऐसी तैसी करो, किसके भी आप पर, इनके भी आप पर, यू आर नॉट सेइंग एनीथिंग, इट इज द पीपल हु हैव इलेक्टेड देम, वी आर आस्किंग क्वेश्चन, सो आस्क एनी डेंजरस क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम देम and they have to answer during question hour, during 0 hour, during no confidence motion, during discussion of over the laws, discussion over the money bill, discussion over the constitutional amendment, they have to give answer for everything. It means they are answerable to the people. This kind of government is known as parliamentary form of government. This kind of government is parliamentary form. Features: collective responsibility, dual executive, dual membership, cooperation and coordination, rule by the majority. Here there is no need for rule of majority because you have majority, okay, keep it. आपके पास मेजॉरिटी रखो, हमें नहीं चाहिए. यहां जनता ने जिसको भी प्रेसिडेंट चुन लिया वही रूल करेगा, जो मेजॉरिटी लिया है लेकर रखें. यानी इन अमेरिका, in legislature, majority may belong to the Democratic Party, but the president is from the Republican. But in India, the party having majority in the legislature can form the government only. If BJP has the majority in the legislature, then only BJP can form the government. Okay? In this way, parliamentary and presidential both kind of system, but we opted for this. Why? The question is, why we opted this? Why this not? This is the more stable. It is more stable now, because no need to give day-to-day answer, and they don't have any power to remove the Council of Ministers. But here they have collective responsibility. The day they decide that we will not support the government, they can introduce no confidence motion and can remove the house, they can remove the Council of Ministers. It is unstable, and this is more stable. Then why this? Due to our diversity. इतनी डाइवर्सिटी है कि कोई एक आदमी पूरे देश को नहीं चला पाए. But here, when there will be 75-80 people in the executive and they are the representative of the people, then 2 ministers from every state can be taken. And secondly, we were completely trained in this kind of system only. We were not having any kind of experience of this. And secondly, stability is not important. Accountability is more important. So we opted for this. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन लिखिए इसके ऊपर. Parliamentary form of government opted by the Constitution of India was suitable to Indian conditions. Was suitable to Indian conditions. Discuss. Was suitable to Indian conditions. Discuss. Okay, you have to write all these 3 questions and मैं इसको अगली क्लास में एक्सप्लेन भी कर दूंगा कि इसमें क्या लिखना चाहिए आपको. हालांकि सारे के आंसर मैंने बताए हैं यहाँ पर, लेकिन फिर भी मॉडल आंसर मैं आपको बता दूंगा. एंड फर्दर स्टोरी हम लोग आगे की क्लास में करें. ठीक है, कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो आप हमें भेज भी सकते हैं, और चाहे तो आप उसी दिन पहले हमको क्वेश्चन दे देंगे, मैं जवाब दे दूंगा उसका, फिर आगे हम लोग कंटिन्यू करेंगे.